Welcome back to Philosophy Unpacked. Today, we're delving into a really powerful and visually rich chapter from Nietzsche's Thus Spake Zarathustra called The Flies in the Marketplace.
That title alone is incredibly evocative. It sounds like it's going to be about dealing with annoying people, but I'm sure Nietzsche has a much deeper meaning in mind.
He absolutely does. The core message is a powerful piece of advice for any creator, thinker, or anyone who feels overwhelmed by society. He urges his friend to flee into solitude.
Flee? That sounds quite extreme. Why does he suggest running away? What is so dangerous about this marketplace he describes?
He sees the marketplace, which represents public life or society, as a place where you are deafened by noise and metaphorically stung by what he calls poison flies.
Okay, so it's a metaphor for the constant barrage of opinions and criticisms you face when you put yourself out there in the public sphere. That makes a lot of sense.
Exactly. He contrasts this with the peace of solitude, comparing it to a forest or a rock. He says you should be like a great tree that silently and attentively hangs over the sea.
I love that image. It suggests the kind of quiet strength and perspective that you can only get when you are removed from the immediate chaos of daily life.
Precisely. For Nietzsche, where solitude ends, the marketplace begins. And with it comes the noise of what he calls the great actors and the buzzing of these poison flies.
So there are two distinct groups causing problems in this marketplace, the actors and the flies. Let's start with the great actors. Who are they?
This is a key distinction. The great actors are not the truly great people. They are the performers, the ones who represent great ideas but didn't create them.
So they are the popularizers, the charismatic figures who get all the attention, rather than the original thinkers who did the hard, quiet work behind the scenes.
You've got it. Nietzsche says the public doesn't really understand true greatness, which is the act of creation itself, but they love the performers and the spectacle.
So the world of ideas revolves around the true innovators, but the world of people and fame revolves around the actors who perform those ideas for an audience.
Yes, and he's quite critical of these actors. He says they have spirit, but little conscience of the spirit. They believe completely in whatever role they are playing at the moment.
It sounds like he's describing someone who is very persuasive but lacks a deep, consistent core. Their beliefs can change from one day to the next, right?
That's the idea. Their goal isn't to find truth, but to convince. He says for them, to upset means to prove, and to drive mad means to convince.
And he mentions that blood is counted by him as the best of all arguments. That's a very dark and powerful way to describe their love for drama and sensationalism.
It is. They dismiss any subtle truth that only glideth into fine ears as nonsense. They only believe in ideas and gods that make a huge amount of noise in the world.
So the marketplace is filled with these loud, showy performers, and the public celebrates them as masters of the hour, completely missing the real creators.
And because these actors and the crowd are impatient, they demand simple answers from you. They press you for a clear yay or nay on every issue.
That feels incredibly relevant today, with the pressure to take a side on everything instantly. There's no room for nuance or for sitting betwixt for and against.
Nietzsche's advice here is crucial. He tells the lover of truth not to be jealous of these absolute impatient ones, because truth never clings to the arm of an absolutist.
He's saying that real understanding and deep experience take time. He uses the analogy of a deep fountain needing a long time to know what has fallen into its depths.
A beautiful metaphor for contemplation. All truly great things, he argues, happen away from the marketplace and fame. That's where new values have always been created.
Okay, that covers the great actors. Now I want to understand the other threat he mentioned, the poisonous flies. Who are they and what do they represent?
The flies are the small and pitiable ones. They are innumerable, and their danger doesn't come from a single powerful attack, but from their sheer numbers and persistence.
So it's not a lion that will attack you, but a swarm of tiny insects that can wear you down over time. Why are they so hostile to the individual?
He says they have nothing but vengeance towards the great individual. The person has lived too closely to them, and now they must flee this invisible, petty revenge.
And he says it's not the individual's job to fight them, to be a fly flap. That's an interesting point. It suggests that engaging with them is a waste of energy.
A complete waste. He uses another great image. Many proud buildings have been ruined not by earthquakes, but countless raindrops and persistent weeds. The small things can bring down the great.
So the individual isn't stone. They can become hollowed out by these numerous small attacks and eventually break. It's a death by 1,000 cuts, essentially.
Yes, and he describes the individual as exhausted, bleeding from 100 spots, yet their pride won't even complain about such small wounds.
What drives this behavior in the flies? He says they sting in all innocence because their bloodless souls crave for blood. What does that mean?
It suggests they are empty and parasitic. They feed on the life force and vitality of the creative person. They need to drain others to feel something themselves.
And because the individual is a profound one, they suffer deeply even from these small wounds, which makes them especially vulnerable to this kind of attack.
Correct. And the individual is too proud to just crush these little pests. But Nietzsche warns that this pride might lead to the fate of suffering all their poisonous injustice.
He also mentions their praise. How can praise be part of the attack? He says obtrusiveness is their praise. They want to get close to your skin and blood.
Their praise isn't genuine admiration. It's a way to get close, to possess a piece of you. They flatter you like a god or a devil, but it's just a tool for them.
It sounds like a very invasive form of fandom or admiration, where the admirer's needs and desires completely overshadow the well-being of the person they claim to admire.
Exactly. They might even seem friendly or amiable, but Nietzsche says this is just the prudence of the cowardly. It's a tactic, a survival strategy for them.
And this leads to suspicion, right? He says they think so much about you with their circumscribed souls that you always become suspicious in their eyes.
Yes, because their small minds can't comprehend greatness, they endlessly analyze it until it seems like a threat. Anything that is overanalyzed by a small mind becomes suspect.
This next line is incredibly sharp. They punish thee for all thy virtues. They pardon thee in their inmost hearts only for thine errors. That's a brutal insight.
It's one of the core points. Your strengths and virtues make them feel inadequate, so they resent you for them. But your mistakes make you human and flawed like them, which they can forgive.
So even when the individual is gentle and kind, the flies still feel despised because they interpret that gentleness through the lens of their own smallness.
Precisely. The individual's silent pride is always offensive to their taste. They only feel a sense of relief if you act frivolous or humble yourself.
There's a really interesting psychological observation here. What we recognize in a man, we also irritate in him. What do you think he means by that?
I think it means that by focusing on a certain quality in someone, you provoke it. In this case, your very presence highlights their smallness, and their smallness then glows with invisible vengeance.
So your greatness doesn't inspire them, it just makes them more aware of their own perceived inadequacies, which then turns into resentment and hatred.
Yes, he asks, haven't you seen them silent when you approach? How their energy leaves them like the smoke of an extinguishing fire? You become their bad conscience.
Because they know on some level that they are unworthy of thee. And that's why they hate you and, as he says, would fain suck thy blood. It's a defense mechanism.
It all comes full circle. Your neighbors will always be poisonous flies. What is great in you, your talent, your integrity, your vision, is the very thing that makes them more poisonous.
So the greatness itself is the irritant. The more you shine, the more they are drawn to sting you. It's an unavoidable consequence of being in the marketplace.
Which is why the final advice is so stark and uncompromising. Zarathustra repeats his opening command, flee, my friend, into thy solitude.
And not just any solitude, but one where a rough, strong breeze bloweth. What does that specific imagery suggest? A place that challenges you?
I think it suggests a place that is bracing and cleansing. It's not about comfortable escape, but about returning to an environment that is pure, powerful, and fortifying.
An environment that strengthens you rather than drains you. A place that you can be that strong, silent tree again instead of a target for a swarm of flies.
And he concludes with the powerful line, it is not your lot to be a fly flap. Your destiny is not to spend your life swatting away petty annoyances and criticisms.
Your destiny is to create, to think, to be profound. Engaging in those small battles is a distraction from your true purpose. That is a lesson that is more relevant now than ever.
Absolutely. In an age of social media, which is the ultimate marketplace, this advice to curate your environment and protect your creative energy is incredibly important.
It's a call to find that personal solitude, that rough, strong breeze, even in a hyper-connected world. It's about preserving your depth from the shallowness of the crowd.
Finding that balance is the key, knowing when to engage with the world and when to retreat into that productive, strengthening solitude to do the work that truly matters.
A powerful and challenging idea to end on. It's not about hiding, but about strategically retreating to maintain your strength and purpose. Thank you for unpacking that.
My pleasure. It's a timeless piece of wisdom about the difficult relationship between the individual and the crowd, something every creative person has to navigate.
It definitely gives you a framework for understanding those draining interactions and permission to step away from them without feeling guilty. A very practical piece of philosophy.
Indeed, it reframes solitude not as loneliness, but as a necessary condition for greatness and self-preservation in a world full of noise and distraction.
An excellent summary. It makes me want to find my own quiet place with a rough, strong breeze to think more clearly. A wonderful topic for today's discussion.